Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, September 7th. I'm Gary Stevens. It's the first Tuesday of the month, which means in our 9:30 segment, we feel the zeal with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra getting caught up with things in his community, and you can have a chance to ask him questions at 616-395-1450. Kevin, good morning and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. And again, if you have a question for Kevin, you'll be taking it at 616-395-1450. Brent Allen, the host of the Lakeshore's Wake Up Call on the Lakeshore's 92.7 The Van, made this observation. He was sort of driving our station vehicle, the little minnow, among all the big semis over at the Labor Day truck parade yesterday. He said that there were more people lining the streets in Zeeland than they were in Holland, which to me was a little surprising, but it's a sign. Everybody wanted to see the truck parades back and see the big rigs rolling down Main Street.
Yeah, we missed last year, and people in Zeeland always love a parade. So yeah, that's good to hear. I wasn't in Zeeland. I had to be by the Civic Center because I'm on the truck parade board, and of course we had to help set up a little bit down there at 8 o'clock already, so I missed the parade coming through Zeeland. But there was a lot of people at the Civic Center too. Of course, they were giving away ice cream, so everybody likes free ice cream.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth about ice cream. You could even have a parade of, horse parade, and if you had ice cream at the end, everybody's going to come by and enjoy it. But certainly another sign that things are starting to get back to normal. Another sign of that comes up on Saturday, the 11th, with the return of the Fall Peddlers Market. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's always a good, has good attendance, and I'm sure it will be the same this year. They do a good job getting good people with crafts and things to sell downtown in Zeeland. Well, actually, it's on Church Street, but it's technically downtown. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's always a good time. They have some music going on while people shop, and so yeah, it will. Hopefully, the weather holds out nice, and we have a good day.
Between that and the classic car event during the summer, earlier in the summer, and then you get the parade later on in the fall. Let's just say right now, and you mentioned it, Zeeland likes a parade, and whenever there's a parade or something downtown, the city of Zeeland comes out big.
Yes, and they also like craft shows. So between those two, I don't know which one is more favorite, but people just like to come downtown. So, and that's good. We like to see that.
All right, Pumpkin Fest coming up as well. Speaking about events, and that certainly is going to be a big time in Zeeland.
Yeah, that's always a good time. Fall's here when Pumpkin Fest rolls around. And looking forward to that too. Again, it wasn't held last year, and so it's taken a lot of planning. We've got a new person that took over for the market or the festivals committee, and so hopefully everything runs smooth, and I'm sure it will. And looking forward to being in the parade again along with our other city council members, and it should be a good time.
Now, the other thing, too, and I do want to mention this because I saw this over the weekend, Grand Rapids announced that its Santa Parade is going to be canceled and hopefully be back in 2022. As of right now, the Zeeland Christmas Parade should be still a go, isn't it?
I believe it is, yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that that was not going to be another casualty of the outbreak. If you have a question for Zeeland City Mayor Kevin Klynstra, he'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. A lot of talk in Holland about the street projects going on, but Zeeland has had its share of street projects as well. You'll probably get an update about it during tonight's meeting, but certainly some of the work on some of the streets in Zeeland moving along quite well.
Yes, they're wrapping it up. Actually, I took a walk down Alice Street this morning, and they're just about done with that. They're waiting for the final coat of asphalt, and there's probably about 100 yards of concrete they have to pour yet on one side of the street for the sidewalk. But other than that, it's looking nice, and I'm sure the people down the hill on on Heisinger Street, no, Alice Street, I'm sorry, are hoping to be done soon. They had a summer of lots of construction down there. The Ottawa County Drain Commission did some work down there, and so there's been a lot of tore up streets and tore up yards, and things are starting to look back to normal again.
And one of the things that we mentioned about the fact, in Holland, when there's renovation done of a street, not only is it just the street getting renovated, but the curbs get renovated, and the water lines, the water mains get renovated, because frankly, how many years has it been since the original ones were put down? It's about time to do that change. So that's why when a street gets renovated, it's more than just putting maybe a new coat of asphalt, or maybe remilling the concrete. It is a bit of a chore.
Yes, it is, and it takes a while. When we do the full street reconstruction with the water and the sewer lines, and then putting in sidewalks, which was new on Alice Street. So yeah, all of that takes time, and they started in the spring, and it took all summer long. And like I said, I'm sure the residents down there are happy it's going to be done. And Pawpaw Drive was another one that one is completed, and that looks nice as well. And they did a little reconstruction at the Pawpaw Bridge Park on the end, put some parking down on the end of Pawpaw Street, and that looks nice too. So yeah, all in all, we had great weather this summer, so we did not have too much rain delays, which is nice, and it worked out well.
Now, the other thing too is the fact that, and I was talking to Keith Van Beek, this Holland city manager, about this last week when we chatted with him. They're having a little problems because the contractors, they're having problems having workers and getting things done. The current worker shortage has affected them. Fortunately, I think Zeeland was able to escape that because if things get bogged down because the contractor doesn't have enough people to do the job, it just slows down the projects.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we had a little bit of that on our Cherry Street project, which was behind the stores on Main Street. That took a little longer than what we thought it would. But other than that, I think everything went very well in Zeeland.
I'm going to throw you a curveball question, and if you can't answer it right away, we certainly understand, Kevin Klynstra. I recall a few years ago here in Holland, when they did some renovations, and I'm thinking specifically of here on Central Avenue where our station is, when they did the renovations, what they did is they basically took down the power lines above and planted them underneath in the ground, so that the only thing coming up is the street lights, sort of help beautify the area. Does Zeeland have that problem, or not necessarily as much? I'm just thinking, if you're going to do some renovations and you got to work with some power lines, maybe it's better to plant those things down. It's easier to work on them when they're up on top, but aesthetically, that's kind of nice to have everything down on the ground.
Yes, and that's been a part of our BPW's plan, is to do that when we do a major reconstruction, that they bury the electric lines, and it's turned out well because we've got one of the lowest rates in the area as far as shutdowns when it storms, and destruction when it storms as well with power lines, and it's been a big plus for the city that we don't lose power in a storm, and like you said, it looks a lot better as well. We had a little problem on Pawpaw Drive when we reconstructed that this summer, that there was some power lines, and the residents there said, well, why don't you bury those? But those were consumer power lines, and consumers is a little different. They aren't in the process of burying lines right now, and so it would have cost them a little more to do it. So that was one reason why we did not bury the power lines at Pawpaw Drive. But other than that, when we do a project, the lines are buried.
Yeah, and again, it's a double-edged sword. It's nice looking and everything, but if you have to do some repairs, you got to tear up the ground, and it's just that'd be a little bit of an issue there. If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, he'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. How the Zeeland City Council holds its meeting tonight, 5:30, I believe, is the work study session before the business session at City Hall. Parks and Cemetery Commission is also meeting today. Actually, they're meeting
Tomorrow.
Okay, because the note here says Tuesday, September 8th. So I had to think, okay, is it Tuesday or is it September 8th? It can't be both. But anyway, it's tomorrow's Parks and Cemetery Commission meeting. And a couple of things sort of looking forward in that regard. Master plan and the current cemetery ordinance, Parks and Cemetery ordinance. From what you know, is it more a case of clerical work, or do you see maybe some different visions for Zeeland's parks and cemeteries based on this master plan?
Yeah, we decided that it was time for that. That just like we have a master plan for the city, and as far as the future years for the planning of where we want things to go, and same thing with the parks. We thought we'd go over all the parks. We've kind of focused on Huizinga Park in the last several years, but we wanted to know what the other parks needed as well. So we've been going over it park by park and to see what each one is needed. And so now we have to kind of grade them to see which ones will be done first and which one has the top priority. So yeah, we'll be going over that in the next few months and trying to figure out what the needs and wants are, of course. And then we'll go from there. We'll have to, it helps for budgeting. Like I said, we focused on Huizinga Street. We've been putting a lot of money in Huizinga Park in the last few years, but now we'll try to spread the wealth around to the other parks as we go in the future.
Now, for my own, just sort of sorting it out in my mind, obviously Huizinga Park, south of Business 196 is the probably the most visible to most people that drive through Zeeland, but some of the other parks as well involved with the city. What about the complex that Zeeland Schools has, Zeeland Stadium, the baseball park and all that? Is that school that takes care of it, or is that a municipal situation too?
Yes, that is the school that they do the maintenance on that, but people can go over there and use it. The one across from the high school on Riley Street on the corner of State and Riley, there's basketball courts there that kids can use if they want to. And then there's also the old athletic field that the high school used to use. Now it's a middle school one with a baseball diamond and some soccer fields. And that one is open to the public as well, but the schools take care of it. So we've had talks in the past about doing a joint effort, maybe, because the east side of town did not have a city park, and but at the time the school was not interested in that.
And one other question evolves along the lines of the Parks and Cemetery Commission meeting for tomorrow. Where does Zeeland stand with its cemeteries right now? Is it almost to capacity, or is there still room for some growth?
We are down to about 10 lots, I think it was, at the old cemetery that are for sale. And so, yeah, we're selling plots at the new cemetery on Felt Street. Of course, we've got lots of room to grow there. Right now, it's developed the front part of that, and we had our first burials there last month. And yeah, so we're ready for the future. I believe there's like 10,000 plots that we can develop in that cemetery on Felt Street, and I think that will be good for probably the next 100 years.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's like, room for growth and development for housing and commercial development. Cemetery space, it's not unlimited.
Oh,
See,
that's true. So, our forefathers were probably wise in that they, at one time, they thought the city limits would be out on Felt Street, but that never happened. But it is close enough to the city limits, but they did purchase that. So years ago, they purchased that property, and they designated it for a cemetery. And we had many long meetings about what we should do with that. Should we go against our forefathers' wishes and do something else with that cemetery? Should the city get out of the cemetery business? It's not a moneymaker. It's a big hit to our budget every year to maintain a cemetery. But the citizens of Zeeland spoke, and they said they would still like to have a city cemetery. So that's what we did.
Kevin, one more discussion topic I want to bring up is the Planning Commission meeting coming up on September the 9th, the monthly meeting, part of which is the repurposing of the old Zeeland Lanes property. I know a lot of people were, saddened when Zeeland Lanes closed last year, but it has taken on a new life as the home of Upward Bound Ministries. And they want to do some things that probably needs the Planning Commission's work. Your thoughts about seeing that property being repurposed in this way?
Yeah, I was probably one of those that was sorry to see the bowling alley close. That was a place where I spent a good deal of my youth playing or bowling every Saturday afternoon in the wintertime. And yeah, it was a great place to go, and went on lots of dates out there. But it probably was time to change. And I think Kevin Benning that runs that nonprofit is doing a good job, and they plan on putting a big addition on the east side of their building, and there'll be new bathrooms and a new meeting area, and yeah, it will make that place that much nicer for the young people that use it.
There's also in the Planning Commission meeting a review of the city's alcohol ordinances. That's more of routine and it gets reviewed on an annual basis, or has some things come up that maybe the ordinance needs to be revisited and relooked at again?
Yeah, that's the Planning Commission is looking at that, and City Council is looking at it. And it's been 14 years already since we had our first restaurant that served alcohol, and we figured maybe it was time to look at some of these things and see if they need to be changed. I know some of it's coming from the restaurant owners saying that they would like to see things changed a little bit. And since we started the ordinance, maybe some of these things are outdated. And I know when we did it, we went on the conservative side with some of these ordinances that we passed, and everything. The restaurant owners have been very responsible and have taken it very serious. So maybe it's time to loosen the reins a little bit and change some of these ordinances that we have as far as the alcohol is concerned.
Again, Kevin, if this question you can't answer, I certainly understand. The number of liquor licenses allowed to municipality, it's based on population, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore, when the census numbers become official later on, we've gotten a preliminary one already. Could Zeeland be in line for maybe another license being allowed to it? Or is that something that maybe if Zeeland is allowed an extra license, that the city's going to say, not so fast on it?
I don't think from what I've seen, our population increased by about 290, I believe it was, from what it was last time. I don't think that would make a big difference with the Liquor Control Commission as far as licenses, but there are different ways we can get licenses. There's several different things that we can do if somebody wants to have a liquor license, they can get it. They can buy one from outside of that somebody is selling that had a restaurant and closed. Or there's a couple other different avenues we can go down, and we're researching that because there are a few restaurants that would like to have a liquor license, and so yeah, we'll see once. There's always that part about having too many, and so we're looking at it very carefully and make sure we do the right thing.
One final question, Kevin Klynstra, and it's not necessarily involving the city of Zeeland, but you being a part of the Makatawa Area Coordinating Council in your role as mayor. The search for a new executive director, where do we stand on that because of Tyler Kent's departure earlier this summer?
Yeah, we're in the process of trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. And, the Makatawa Area Coordinating Council lost the watershed that went over to and I can't think of it. But anyway, they moved over to a different agency.
The Outdoor Discovery Center?
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we have to look at the job a little bit and see how that will affect it. But anyway, yeah, we're in the process of doing that. The last couple ones we went through the county, but the county is too busy on finding their own people. So we're going to have to either do it on our own or find a firm to help us with getting a new director. But hopefully within the next couple months that we'll have somebody in that position.
He is Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra. He joins us every first Tuesday of the month to talk about things in his municipality. Kevin, thank you very much for the time and appreciate your thoughts. And if all goes well, let's do this again a month from now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gary. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Kevin Klynstra, 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.